Hi, and welcome to the latest version of MayaStar. MayaStar. Actually, I shouldn't say it's the latest because I'm sure I'll have another update after this one. So this is an update for MayaStar 4.4. And it's going to be showing what's new in MayaStar and what I've updated in MayaStar. And I'm going to try to keep this very, very brief as quickly as possible. And please forgive me, my microphone is kind of broken, so you might hear a lot of popping sound. I'm trying to position the microphone so it's not, you don't get it popping right near every time I say a P, say the letter P. And so anyway, okay, so MayaStar 4.4, what's new? Okay, well, there's two basic things that are new. I've added animation, the ability to make animations and export BVH files out of MayaStar. And I fixed the male avatar, which was having a lot of problems for fitted mesh, especially for the upper body of the male avatar. That was quite a long task to get that fixed. It took me 4 months to working on it to get it finally fixed. And so I know a lot of my male clothing designer customers will be really happy that it's finally fixed. I didn't know about it for a long time because there's like 20 female avatar clothing designers for every male clothing designer who's making clothes for the male avatar. And I don't make male clothes myself, so I didn't realize it for the longest time. Anyway, so it's finally fixed, and I'll go over that. Actually, maybe I'll make that show real quick. And okay, so it used to be where you just clicked on MayaStar menu and you clicked Activate MayaStar Avatar. But you'll notice now when I hold my mouse over it, it opens up another little window to the side, and we have a bunch of different options. Okay, you can either let your mouse hover over Activate MayaStar and it will open up the side window, or you can click it and it will open up this little side thing. Okay, we have female and male. Those are for activating either the female avatar or the male avatar for rigging. And you must choose one of them before you try to animate. Because if you click on Animate Female, you'll get an error. You know, you get an error. No object matches animated avatar. Okay. So, and then at the very bottom we have Export Animation, and that will open up a little window to export out your BVH file. Okay. So let's just start. Well, let's show the difference for the male. Okay. So we'll click on Male, and you'll notice a little window popped up. That's just your preference window popping up really quickly and setting it to Z up. Because when you animate stuff, it can't be on Z up. It has to be on Y up. It's weird, I know. Animations are always made with Y up for Second Life, while mesh is always Z up. So, okay. So one of the things you'll notice is that he's no longer wearing a sports bra or a tube top, however you want to put it, that little bra that the avatar was always wearing before. So removed the makeup, gave him a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, made him look a little more rugged, and thickened up his eyebrows a little bit. So now he actually looks like a real man. Except for he still has his tidy whities. You know, got to be a little modest there. But he does have some, anyway. Okay, but he's not wearing the bra anymore. So, alrighty. So this is the male avatar. You might notice that he looks a little different than the standard MayaStar avatar when you would switch to the MayaStar. That's because I finally got the upper body in the correct portions. I had messed up when I originally made MayaStar and missed about, I think it's like 20 lines. There's like 1,400 lines of code for the Avatar Lad file. And about 20 of them describe what the male upper body should be set at when you switch from male to female. And I had completely missed it. And then it made all sorts of challenges. Because what worked for the female skeleton for the upper body didn't. You'll notice that he did get a little bit taller, but yes, his feet are a little bit below the grid, but that's no big deal. Don't even worry about it. Not even when you're making animations, don't worry about it. Okay. So here's the male avatar, and what I fixed in the male avatar was the male fitted mesh avatar, made for transferring weights from. It used to be when you would go to the appearance editor, if you were to make his body thicker or this or that, or if you were to make his chest bigger, pectorals they're called, bigger, it was just totally messed up. Now, it wouldn't be messed up in Maya. In using MayaStar, it would be messed up if you tried to copy the weights from them, say a shirt you were doing for fitted mesh for males, and bring it into Second Life and wear it. The upper body would be totally messed up. You'd get these weird bulges around the neck, and the chest wouldn't work right. It was just a mess. Now, if you were making fitted mesh pants, it worked just fine. But it was all the upper body was totally messed up. So, but as you can see now, it's working much better. So that if you were to copy the weights from this onto your mesh shirt, it would work a lot better. You still have to make minor adjustments and this and that, but it'd be really, really close to what you would get in Second Life, like probably like 97, 98% accurate. So it'd be a lot easier. The female avatar always was like 97, 98% accurate, but now the male avatar, finally, finally we have the male avatar working well. So now they're on equal footing where they weren't before. Okay, so that's the fix, was the male avatar. And you'll notice that there's no button to switch between male and female anymore. It's because in order to fix this, I had to make the male and the female two separate files, instead of one file and just having the bones change and stuff like that in order to get it to work properly. So, alrighty, so that's the fix. That's the big fix. And the male avatar was always fine for classic rigging, but it wasn't good for fitted mesh. Okay, so let's go on to let's go to a new scene. And for the animation, so we go to activate MayaStar avatar, female. And you see the preference window pops up, and it changes it, make sure that it's on Z up. And now here's what most people are used to. All MayaStar users have been used to seeing when you activate MayaStar. Is the female avatar. She has a little bit of makeup on, nicely plucked eyebrows, and she's wearing a kind of a bikini top, you know, and bottom, and so it works just like it did before. Everything is exactly the way it worked before. And now, say you've rigged a dress or a purse or something, you know. I would highly recommend that you save a backup copy first before coming in here and going MayaStar, activate MayaStar, and clicking on Animate Female. If we were animating, if we had the male and we rigged male clothing or a staff or something like that, and then we wanted to animate it, so we had clicked on male first, then we click Animate Male. So instead, we're working with the female, so you click Animate Female. And a bunch of things happen, and boom, there's our animation rig. You'll notice that she's much bigger. She's actually pointing in a different direction, and the Y is up instead of Z is up. That's because it has to be that way in order for the animation to work properly. Okay, you also notice that she's somewhere between the small avatar, and she doesn't look quite as big as the meter size avatar. And you would be correct. Whoops, I wanted that open. You would be correct, because here's the avatar skeleton. The reason for that is that BVH files are in inches. Even though it doesn't say it's in inches, the units are inches in the BVH file, and gets converted to centimeters. in Second Life when you upload the BBH file. So I had to make the avatar the correct height so that when you made the avatar actually move in XYZ, that it would be proportionally correct, so that what you saw in MayaStar was what you got in Second Life. And so I had to increase the avatar size. Instead of 100, I had to increase it to 39.331947. Now don't be worried if yours don't go to 1, 2, 6 places past the decimal point. The default, I believe, is 3 places. So yours will probably say 39.332 because it just rounds it up. For display purposes, it is still actually 33.1947, even though it doesn't say it. But that, anyway. So there's actually 2 skeletons in this scene. You have the avatar skeleton, which has been, the M pelvis has been parented to a locator and then scaled up 39. And so there's the M pelvis. And then the avatar's real skeleton has been constrained to an animation skeleton, which starts with the word hip. Okay, that's hip is the equivalent of M pelvis bone. Okay, that's the root. And then because an animation skeleton in BBH has to use different names than the regular avatar skeleton, at least with the BBH exporter that I'm using. Okay, so so we have the animation skeleton, and it is a human IK, and these are the controls for the human IK. And then when you click on animate female or animate male, you should be aware of that these are the things that you can select. So if you turn this off, that means you can't select bones. That's for selecting curves. This is for selecting mesh. And I have it to where it automatically turns it off. That's just so that when you go to click on something on one of these controllers, you don't accidentally click on your avatar, or your mesh clothing if you're going to click on mesh clothing, because mesh clothing might be a little thicker than the avatar, and it might sometimes be a little bit harder. Now your version of Maya, which is probably newer, since mine is from 2007, these will probably be dark spheres, and this will be a dark cube or box. Okay. Now this was made with generating a human IK, and I hope I went over this already. Maybe I didn't. Okay, I've done this as my 3rd try, so I'm trying to remember what I've gone over and what I haven't. Okay, so this is a human IK, meaning inverse kinetics or whatever. What that means is if I were to select this cube on her wrist, or this box on her wrist, and I were to drag it forward, you see everything from here down is affected. In fact, I can drag the whole avatar down if I want. And it's much like a rag doll. And it's really nice in that, like, her elbow will only bend so far. It won't break. So everything is where a human body would normally be able to rotate to. So that's really nice. A lot of animators prefer animating in FK, or forward kinematics, in that they just find it easier to make nice rotations versus grabbing it and then trying to animate it this way. But this is really nice in that if you notice over here, let me Control Z back to the beginning. Okay, when I have this box selected, over here in pinning it says pin translate. What that means is this has basically been pinned in 3D space, so that when you move something like, say, this hip controller, if I remove it down, see the arms stay up. Which comes in very handy if you're doing like, say you want the hand to stay on a table at a certain place, and you're going to have the avatar move around, And same with the feet. Down here at the ankles, they're also pinned. Now these are pinned all, and if you want to change them, all you have to do is hold down the left mouse button and pick one of these others, whether it's unpinned or pin all or pin rotate or pin translate. Like these are pin translate. See, if I unpin it and I come over here and if I unpinned it, see, now her arm goes up and down instead of being pinned to one location. Okay, so now I'm going to unpin it, or I'm going to put it back to the pin translate. So this is the default. Okay, so let's make a really quick animation. And so what I'm going to do is down here you see you have 48 frames. You can have as many frames as you want, but this is just the default. I have this set on animation, and if you come here to animate, the set key, I have it set to my home key on my keyboard, and these are the options I use. All manipulator handles in keyable attributes, current time. And so when I click the home key on my keyboard, it says if I click set key or click apply. And then I always have over here in the lower right hand corner, see where it says it has a key. If it's red, that means it's going to automatically generate a key anytime you move it to a new location. But you have to have a key. It has to have a key. I believe it has to have at least one key on it first before it will do it automatically. So what I'm going to do is, let's put her arm in a more natural position. Say I want to make a sort of just have her bring in her arm from the avatar standing. Okay, and I'll from a standing position, like she's just standing there. Okay, so and I'm only going to animate the left arm. Okay, so I click on the frame that I want to create the key for, and here's I always start with frame 1, and I click my home button, and you might barely be able to see there's a red line there now. And then I come to the last frame without moving anything, and I click it again. So that's going to be the start, and that's where she's going to end up at the end. So if you're making a loop, you want the loop, the beginning and the end to be identical. Okay, so then say I come to frame 20, and I'm going to move her arm forward, like she's going to shake somebody's hand. Oh, it's a little bit too far that way. Okay, and you'll notice there's like this little blue line there. That's just blue because it's a highlighted. If I move it off, you'll see there's a red line because it automatically created a key the minute I moved it. And as long as if I move it again, now that's the new key. It'll write over it every time you move it slightly. Okay, so now we have this little animation. Where she's putting her hand forward. Okay, and you can scrub through the animation by holding down the left mouse button, like you're picking a key, but you hold the mouse button, and you can drag left or right. So if you're trying to see, okay, how, where, you know, so that's one way. And these are the play. That's play, that's stop. You can reverse the play. That goes to the previous key. See, it went to 20. If I click it again, it should go to 1. And that's going to the next key, and then back to the beginning key. This is, let's see, this is moving it forward 1, backwards 1, all the way to the end, and all the way to the beginning. Okay. Now, if we were to export this out as a BBH file, it would export the information only for this right arm, or left arm, because this is the only thing that moved, these 2 joints, or 3 joints, the only thing that changed. So it's going to export out just those things. So if you thought she was going to be standing there, she may stand there in the preview window. But if you had her walking or something like that, it would walk, and it would, if you had the animation, because you can upload as, see what it looks like in the preview window if she's just standing, preview in the window if she's walking, or if she's flying, or if she's sitting, and different things have different settings as far as priority. So, so walking the arms might have much greater priority than, say, just standing there or flying. But say you had her... So anyway, so the only thing we've actually really animated is this arm. We haven't made any real changes. Since we didn't do any keyframes on this, you know, and you can see when you click on whichever one you click on, you see there's no keyframes in here. But there are for here. You know, this elbow, there is a keyframe for the elbow at the beginning. Yeah, so there is keyframes on the elbow. And there's keyframes on the shoulder up here. So say we wanted the elbow to come out a bit more. You just grab the elbow and rotate it, or pull it out. And as soon as we let go, it made a keyframe. So now, see, her elbow is out a little bit more. Okay, so that's how to do general animations. And if you wanted to make her move, you would want to click these arrows down here. Gives you another controller. You want to go back to frame 1, hit the home key. Frame 48, hit the home key. On mine, it's home key. You might have a slightly different key for keying. And then say I want to have her walk forward a little faster. We'll say frame 12. I'll move it forward. And now she's moved forward. And now when we play it, hi. So that's how to move her in 3D space. And we can even say, okay. Then at frame, let's say frame 14, we want her to rotate slightly forward. There we go. And that's how you make her rotate. You know, there are some limitations. It does not do somersaults. It doesn't like it when you rotate you know, it doesn't like it when you rotate this like more than 180 degrees. It has a little bit of a problem with that from what I've been told or from what I've read. It just really doesn't like that. But how often do you make your avatar, how often are you going to want to make an animation where you do a somersault or a cartwheel? Not very often. So, okay. So we have our animation and we want to export it. So, and it doesn't matter what frame it's on. It doesn't have to be on frame 1 or 2 or anything like that. You just come here to MayaStar, activate animation or activate MayaStar avatar, and come here to export animation. Now this window that pops up is an open source Mel script, and you can get the open source, the script, here. You can go up here to help, and you can come top. It was written by Samantha Patterson. I've made some minor changes to it, which I'll go over. So these, but you can find out more information. These are some of the new features that she added, some of the fixes that she made to previous versions, and I added a few of my own notes in here and edited hers slightly, because I edited her Mel script a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit. Okay, so we'll go over these options real quick. Root joint. The root joint technically is the hip bone for the animation skeleton. That's the root joint. Okay. The way she had originally written the script is that you could either have it set to current, which would mean you would have to come in here and select the hip joint before you exported it out. Or you could have it set to top, which meant you could, as long as you had any of the bones in the animation skeleton, it would automatically select the hip joint and export out. But I found that I often would forget to select either a bone in the skeleton, or would forget to select the hip joint manually. So I wrote it so that as soon as you click apply, before it does anything else, it automatically selects the hip joint, so that you don't have to worry about that. But there may be times for more advanced animators who want to be able to do that for some reason. I don't know why. I'm not that well. I don't know how to make animations that well yet. So I'm sure there are times when you want to. Okay, time range. 1 through 48 is a default, and you have 1 through 48 down here, like I said, but you can have 1 through 300, 1 through 500. I'm not sure exactly what the maximum number of frames you can have. Sample rate, I have it set to all frame at default, but if you had a really, really long animation of like 500 frames or something, you might want to have this set to every second frame or every fifth frame or something like that, but I find that all frames works just fine. Okay, base adjustment. If you're going to be using these arrows, you know, this controller that I created with the 4 arrows, if you're going to be using that to cause her to rotate or move or whatever, or not rotate, but just to move in 3D space, this has to be set at world. If it was set at object when you export out, it would look fine when it exported out, but as soon as you uploaded it and previewed it, the avatar would actually not move in 3D space. It would stay in the same spot. The arm would move forward and all that, but the avatar would actually not move. So, and there is more information on that in the help. If you really want to know more about it. Rotation seems to work fine on world or object. I just leave it on world. Okay. Rotate order. The default for BVH major axes is X, Z, Y from what I've read. And the minor, I always find that Z, X, Y works fine. You can try different combinations, but be warned, some don't work at all. Many don't work at all. There's like a handful of combination of major and minor axes that actually work with Second Life. So I find that XZY and ZXY works just fine. I haven't had any real problems with it, although I haven't made a whole bunch of animations either. I mean, I've made a bunch of small test animations and everything always seems to work out fine. Okay, so the next thing that you'll find is the file name and the path. That's where you want to save it. You know, I just have mine set to desktop and I clicked OK. And so that's why it says document setting, blah, 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 you know, desktop. And then I just happen to be using the name Mouth Animation 16 BVH. You can name this whatever you want, BVH file. So anyway, so that's how you set the path. And you can either click Apply or OK. If you click OK, it will export and close this window. If you click Apply, if you're going to be making minor changes and you're going to be uploading and re-uploading, like say on the beta test grid till you get it just right, you just click Apply. And because I already have a file already created, it says, you sure you want to do this? Yes, I want to do this. Okay. So I just exported out the BVH file. And the BVH file is fine. It'll work. It'll upload just fine. You'll have to watch some of Torley's videos on how to upload and what the options are for uploading BVH files in Second Life. And so Torley has a really nice video for that. And I'm sure you'll be able to find other videos as well for that. I probably will make one a little bit later or something. Okay, so that's basic animations. Like I said, I think I went over HK and IK. Okay, so now let's say you want to make your own rig. Okay, let's start with a brand new scene. Say you want to make your own animation rig. All you have to do is go into where you installed MayaStar and look for one of these two files. MayaStar Animation Skeleton female.mb and MayaStar Animation Skeleton male.mb. Obviously one's for female, one's for male. So we'll do the female. And this is just the rig without it. God, I hope I'm not going over this a second time. Which I might be, but I've forgotten if I've gone over it or not. Okay, so if you want to make your own, all you have to do is go in the outliner, see the human IK, and hit delete. And now you can make your own rig. You're more than welcome to use that. And so you can make your own animation controllers for the rig. And then all you do is you just click File, Save, to save over this file right here, and then anytime you went MayaStar, activate or animate female, your version of the animation rig would come in, and it would be constrained to the skeleton. So yeah, so that's basically it. Let's see. Yeah, don't bother with trying to export out as a .anim file. The Maya can export out as a .anim file, but it's not compatible with Second Life. So if you were in a new plugin manager and you say, I know it can export out as a .anim file, here's the plugin. No, this is Autodesk's plugin for their version of .anim file. It is not compatible with Second Life. It just so happened that Linden Lab decided to call theirs a .anim file, which just happened to be the same. So it's just basically a coincidence. Don't bother with it. If I find, if I can find a way to export out as a .anim file with a Mel script or something like that, I will make another update. There are a few advantages to being able to do that. I've heard that there are advantages. I don't know what they all are. I'm not that well versed in animating. So awesome. Alrighty. Well, that should get you up and running, and you can make poses. And like I said, Torley shows how to upload a static pose. You know, basically, if you wanted, anyway, let Torley know. Torley will show you how to make a static pose. You make it basically the same way as the animation that we did before, but then you would just basically make a keyframe. What I would do is I'd make a keyframe, and then have the avatar move into the position that you wanted to. Okay, here's how I would do it. If you want to make a pose instead of an animation, let's do it with let's do the male this time. Okay, and then we're going to do animate male. Okay, so say you wanted to make a pose. You would first want to probably, let's see, how would I do this? I would probably start off by, remember, you have to move all the joints. So you probably want to start with frame 1, where all the joints have been moved, are going to move into a slightly different pose for the thing there. Okay, you know, even the head. We'll tilt the head. Now, I haven't actually made one of these, but I do know you have to have all the joints slightly move in order to make sure that they're recorded. So I'd hit the home key, and that's the thing. And then I'd probably come to here like probably like frame 2 or frame 4, something fairly quick. And then I would say I'm going to make him salute, you know, and then I would make him stand up straight again, and then I would, you know, move his elbow into the correct position. Rotate his wrist a little bit. Move it to the side just a little bit more. Okay, so there's, like I said, you want to make sure that you move. So okay, so that looks like everything has been moved, and we're going to key it. And okay, so that looks like, okay, so he's in a new position, and okay, so what you do, and we're just going to leave it at 48 frames, so that, see, he moves into that position, and that's his static pose. And so it's a good long number of seconds. So then we would export out, and I hope I'm doing this right. I'm actually doing this all from theory. I haven't actually done a static pose this way. But from what I know, this should work. Okay, and so we're going to export out, and we're going to export out all 48 frames. We could export out 22 frames or this or that, doesn't matter. We're going to say yes, and it exports out. And then when you upload to Second Life, you have a percentage in and a percentage out. You know, from what percentage of the animation to start from. It basically, you're cutting off the beginning and the end. So if you put start 50%, end 50%, and have it set to loop, well, half of 50% of 48 is 24. So this is what you would get. It's at 50% and it's looping so that it's just going to stay at that one pose, and you have it to where the in is 50% and the exit is 50%, you know, so that he'll just stand at that one position frozen. So that would be how you make a pose. So if you wanted to make a sitting animation, and say you have a purse and you want the animation, the purse is rigged and you want it so that the purse will sit flat in a certain way or lay down on the lap just right, you could do that. So that's how you make a static pose versus an animation. So even though it is a slight animation, I just made sure that all the joints moved. Because if we didn't make all the joints moved, and you were playing another animation on top of that, you have an animation override and it's playing other animations. If you didn't make all the joints move, and there was an animation making the legs moved, and you didn't move the legs, the upper body would stay stiff if we moved all the joints in the upper body, but the legs, since if we didn't bend the legs and the feet, and you had an animation override that you were wearing that had the feet moving, the legs would be going crazy or would be doing the animation for your animation override, while the top of the body was rigid and stayed still in the salute pose. So, but like I said, at least that's from what I understand, theoretically. Like I said, I haven't made every single type of animation there is out there yet. So, but from what I understand, that's the way you would do it. So, awesome. Alrighty. So that's a quick thing of how to make animations, how to make poses, how to export out. Like I said, if you want to use her original, Samantha's original unaltered mail script, you can get it here. This is the website. She does have a Maya file, binary file, I believe, or ASCII, that has her own animation skeleton. I made my own animation skeleton, so it's not, my animation skeleton isn't open source, but her animation skeleton is open source. So you can get it there if you want to try hers. She's rigged hers quite differently than mine. And her Mel script will work with my animation skeleton. So if for some reason you want to use this root joint thing, you can if you really want to. And so yeah, so that's about it. That's how to make animations, and they work really well. And so yeah, so happy animations. And for all you male clothing designers, if you stuck through the video for this long, you know, I'm so sorry it took me for so long to finally get the male avatar fixed, but yeah, it did take me 4 months of work to finally get it working. Oh, it was a nightmare, but I got it to work finally. So, looking forward to seeing your animations that you come up with, and clothing and all that kind of fun stuff. So have a great day. See you in the next video.